Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in to the Hayden Urban Renewal Agency meeting. It is October 15th, 2024. Let's start with a roll call, please.
Rhonda Mitchell.
Here.
Steve Meyer. Colin Meehan.
Here.
Randy McIntyre. Michael Baer. Matt Roeder.
Here.
Joy Richards.
Here. Great. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Colin, you want to lead us today?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Looking at the agenda, do we have any additions or corrections to the agenda? Would one possibly be our November meeting date? Or
Yes,
not yet?
I think that probably would be an addition to the agenda. Pete, is that how we need to address it? If you can't hear me.
Hi, Pete. Can you hear us?
That's not on the agenda, Rhonda, but that could be discussed during the executive director's report.
Okay.
You don't need to really take action to reschedule a meeting, as long as if you discuss it on the record, just to get everybody's availability.
Great. We'll do that. Thank you. Any other additions or corrections that anyone see that they had? Okay. Any conflicts of interest? No. Great. We have a few visitors here. Do we have anybody who'd like to make public comment?
Yes.
Okay. Please.
Is it up here?
Please. And state your name and your address.
Yes, thank you. My name is Bill Breezy. I am the newest member of the Hayden Historic Preservation Commission. I am not here representing that the commission today. I was unaware that this was on the agenda. During my interview with the mayor, he asked me if I would be willing to, I'm an architect. I have to admit I'm an architect.
Okay.
and he asked me if I'd be willing to help put together a set of all the historic structures within Hayden.
Okay.
And so obviously the Café is one of those potential properties. It's kind of a mid-century Art Deco type of thing. You know, it's kind of cool. I don't know whether it's historic or not. I told the mayor, I said, I haven't been here long enough to determine what's historic and what's not. And I suggested that we have one of the open houses that the city council puts on, that the Historic Preservation Commission has a table, and we ask the community what buildings they think are historical. And then we would kind of catalog those and then create our own historic structures in Hayden. So I'm here to respectfully request that you kind of postpone your action item for the removal of the sign until after we have gone through the process. I think, I don't know how councils work together. You have historic preservation, you've got the HURA, but I would personally like to see this vote kind of be delayed until the Historic Preservation Commission has a chance to review everything that's going on.
And what is your timeline for that?
I've only been to one meeting, and that was last week. We meet once a month, and so the next meeting will be the second Tuesday of November. And I will certainly contact the chairperson and ask for that to be put on the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. DePriest?
Yep. Good afternoon. I'm speaking as Ed DePriest citizen. And I see that you have a workshop scheduled for Thursday regarding not only the OWL, but apparently all the property, orchard property and this whole thing. And I think it probably needs to be addressed either at that workshop or publicly, because there's a lot of people saying things about your intentions. In particular, that your intentions are to use it as mixed use, to turn it into mixed use and the like. And you know, some people are telling people this, and of course it's gone through the grapevine of that particular group, and people are getting all riled up about it. So I would think that a discussion of that, because something tells me that's not the intention of the HURA, is to turn it into apartments and mixed use type of things. And I think an explanation or discussion that could be publicly viewed, or anybody who wants to look at the camera and stuff like that, whether they believe you or not, is, you know, one of those unfortunate things that we have floating around in our community nowadays. But I just think it needs to be discussed, and if you can put that on your agenda or whatever it is for your workshop, I think would be beneficial for information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any public comment? Okay, thank you. Excuse me. The consent calendar. Are there any questions regarding the consent calendar? I looked through all the financials pretty thoroughly. I didn't see anything that I had any questions on. Does it anybody else?
I do have one question. It has to do with our the money that's been spent in fiscal year 2025. Crawford Park has $31,800. Does that complete our funding portion for that project, or will there be some more expenses coming in, or does anybody know?
I don't want to say for positive that it completely wraps up. I think that there could still be a couple bills to play.
Okay, just curious. Thank you.
All right, do I have a motion to approve?
I move that we approve the consent calendar as presented.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Could we have a roll call vote for approval?
Rhonda Mitchell,
Yes?
Colin Meehan,
Yes.
Matt Roder,
Yes.
Joy Richards,
Yes.
Great. New business. We have the All Café sign removal and the demolition discussion.
Yeah, so I wanted to, I know you guys talked a little bit about this last month as well, but I wanted to kind of update you on what I've done since. So to be able to demolish a building, or even to go out to get quotes to demolish the building, we would have to have an asbestos report. So I did reach out for quotes to a couple companies, and in that process found that one of the companies had done a report just a year ago on the property. And so they reached out to the previous owner and were allowed to release that report to me. So it has the asbestos and the lead-based paint stuff. So it sounds like that's all the city would need, you know, to check that box. So we don't probably need to do that anymore. And then I just wanted to kind of see where we were at, because I think we wanted to get the sign removed, but I know there was a little bit of discussion at the last meeting. I did have a great conversation with Britt Thurman from the North Idaho Museum since the last meeting, and one thing that she stressed is that they truly are a North Idaho museum. They represent Shoshone, Benewah, and Kootenai counties. So it's not a Coeur d'Alene museum, it's a true North Idaho museum. They are really interested in the sign because of the, you know, historic type component of it, and that it would be cool to have that available for the public forever. They are currently fundraising to do an expansion. Their new location is there kind of south of Coeur d'Alene City Hall, where they moved that white house. And so for now, they would store the sign. They have a storage facility, like an actual storage facility where they have the larger items stored. So for now it would get stored there. And then once they have their bigger facility, it would get displayed. Definitely could view it as a long-term loan. There could be an agreement that if the HURA board or the city ever did something, maybe on the same property and wanted the sign back, that they would give it back. That she said absolutely to that, there could be an agreement. And so anyway, that's what I know about that. I haven't called to get quotes on removing the sign yet because I wanted to let you know everything that I know and make sure that's still the direction you wanted me to go.
Did you get quotes on the demoing the building yet?
I have not. Nope. That would be my next step. So I think steps wise, we'd want the sign. I mean, we could get quotes without the sign gone, but I think you'd want people who specialize in removing and placing signs to remove the sign, not the person with an excavator showing up to, so we'd want to get the sign removed safely and then focus on the building.
Melissa, would you just give us a summary of what we found out about the building? And it's
like just over time, so I don't know if I'll remember everything you're thinking, but I mean, the building is in pretty rough shape. We've considered it for some sort of a community center, but it doesn't meet the needs of like the Hayden Senior Center for that because it's too small. And then also the parking area and everything around there would have to be brought up to city code to even reopen the facility even as a restaurant. So there doesn't seem like there was much appetite for going that kind of an investment to reopen it as a restaurant. So we couldn't even have like a renter that was a restaurant owner,
Wasn't the parking along Orchard to be eliminated?
Yeah, I mean, they wouldn't be able to have that parking, and then the whole rest of the parking would have to get brought up to city code. It's all just a gravel lot right now. So that was kind of how we stepped through. I mean, we did check in with the senior center doesn't meet your needs, that kind of thing. And so since then, we've had an auction where we auctioned off quite a few things. There's still a lot of stuff in there, but quite a few things. So that was successful. And then I've just been stepping through the various processes to get where we need to go. Reaching out to the city, and they're the ones that said you have to have this asbestos report to demo a building of that age.
Was there any there? Asbestos
Yeah.
or lead-based paint?
Yep, both.
Yeah.
Yep. Which is not unusual.
Just out of curiosity, was the seller's disclosure report, did it indicate that it had asbestos?
It indicated that it most likely did.
And
Yeah.
Were they the ones that had the report that did say?
Different.
Different.
Yeah, I'm happy to send it to you. A different, I don't know who that owner was and why they had the report done, unless maybe they were just somebody that was interested in purchasing it at some point or something. But yeah, it wasn't a name. I can't even remember the name off the top of my head because it wasn't like who we bought it from, for instance. It wasn't.
I'd like to make a suggestion because the Historical Society is focused in on Hayden. And I'd like to see if they have an interest in doing something with that sign because that's their task. I know that I believe they have other items that they've stored that are of historic value that have been given to the city. So I would like to get their input on the sign, whether they'd like to do something with it. And the other thought I have is that if you remove an electrical sign, I don't know how fragile those lighting, if they're neon or whatever, but by moving them, you can damage them pretty easily. So my question is, if it's damaged, and whoever stores it or whatever, are they going to be responsible to fix the lights, which could be really expensive? So my concern is by removing it, what kind of damage can be caused by whomever, and then who's gonna pay for that to fix it.
Okay.
Well, if we want to preserve it, it has to be removed. And my thought is we would hire someone that's their line of work or familiar with that. Damage could possibly happen, but we are trying to preserve it versus leaving it on the building and taking it down. So, you know, I don't know that we can pinpoint responsibility on any particular person. I don't know if in the agreement that we put together with whoever holds the sign, if they would sign, you know, damage issue. I mean, that's something we could ask.
Well, it's out of our control, someone else controls it, I think they take the responsibility. But I still think we ought to run it by our historic society to see if they have an interest in a say in maybe what can be done with the sign. Sign can still be removed. I mean, that's, I don't know.
Well, if it's removed, we have to have it transported to the site where it needs to be stored.
I would say we just give it to somebody and it's their problem at that point.
Right.
Whether that's the historic commission or
Right.
whoever it is, and it's not ours, it's not the city's, it's whoever wants that sign. If we're looking at money, the cheapest thing to do is just demo it. If we wanna save it, then
But there is a sell value to it, because whoever looked at it said it's worth a few $1,000s. So
if
there's
they're
somebody
willing to
that
come
would-
and take it off, we'd probably spend more than that just taking it off the building though. So if somebody wants to buy it and they're willing to take it off the building, then
Melissa was the source of that information, as far as.
That was one of the people that I had look at the contents for the auction, before we
Right.
did the auction. And that person said that there wasn't a lot of value inside the building, but that the sign was worth maybe $3,000 or $4,000. That's the extent of my conversations with anyone on the value of the sign.
So we have before us today an action item that I almost think we need to find out what it's gonna cost to remove it.
Okay.
And then we need to, then depending on which society really wants the sign, if they're able to help with some of that cost, if they want to preserve the sign. Let's find out, what would it cost
Okay.
to take down the sign and transport it to?
To wherever. I'm happy to reach out to the Historic Preservation Commission and ask if they have storage. My conversation with Britt wasn't that they wouldn't participate in the cost of removal or bringing it to them, but then they would store it until they, a few years from now is when they expect to be able to build that other larger facility. And it sounded like they store a lot of things. So, I mean, I liked the thought that this is kind of what they do and that they store fragile things and, you know, but I'll definitely reach out to the commission to see.
Okay.
And then I'll get some quotes. So the
See.
next meeting, you guys at least know like what we're talking to get it removed.
All right, and then we should know by then the Historical Society, maybe they could have a special meeting to discuss this. So by
Sure.
the next time we have our meeting, we would know more information. If it's something that they would really like to pursue. That seem fair?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Next is our executive director's report.
There's not much to report. Nothing new on any OPAs. I don't have an update on the boundary expansion. I did reach out to see if I could get one, but I think that Lisa it might be at a conference or at a training. So I don't know if Matt has any updates. I think something went to council, but I haven't had an opportunity.
I'm sorry,
to
The
review.
expansion?
Oh, for the HURA boundary expansion.
It
I
got
think it was
approved
just,
by
Well,
city
we
council.
approved the report
Okay.
given by the consultant. It was a 3-to-1 vote.
Okay.
And so we've accepted that report. I guess that comes back to us and, because we approved the report too, didn't we?
we approved the, their recommended deteriorated areas.
Right. And so did we then.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, I'll reach out and see how we can be a part of the next step.
And that even might be.
So the next step,
Oh,
the next step is I believe Megan Conrad and Olivia Metz are working on the actual plan amendment, which they'll send to us in
Okay.
draft form once it's ready. And then after that's in a form that's final enough for approval or consideration, the actual plan amendment will be brought back before the commission for approval, or recommendation of approval to the city council, and then that plan amendment will go to the city council, and the council will have to have a public hearing.
Okay.
So yeah, we're just waiting on the actual plan amendment itself now, and I think they're amending the economic feasibility study also.
Okay. Okay, and then at 58 East Orchard, we had an issue with a tree that knocked out the electrical, and so that is what the property management company has been focusing on. So I haven't had them do anything else yet, but and I don't have a cost for the repairs associated with that yet either. But that happened last
Did
week.
it damage the house or just?
No,
the
it
electrical line?
just knocked out the electrical, and then the electric inside didn't work, and so an electrician had to kind of figure out what got fried and fix it. So Avista did their stuff outside, and then it still didn't work. So, so I gave him the go ahead to do what was necessary, and I don't have a lot of detail on what was necessary, but I'm sure I'll get that before the next meeting. I think that that's it, and so then we just have our workshop on.
Can I go back to your report on the rental property? Regarding replacing the window upstairs to meet egress. The egress, it used to be that the UBC, Uniform Building Code, you had to have 5.7 square feet of clear opening, it had to be wider than 20 inches, and it had to be, the sill couldn't be 44 inches off the floor. And then it was only applied in new construction or if you're doing a remodel. So my question would be, we need to check with the building code, because I believe that unless we're remodeling or going, unless we're going to replace the window because it's rotted or whatever, we do not have to replace it. So that's what I would suggest, if we could have someone check the building code and make sure that that's a requirement, because we're not just going to replace the window because it's bad. Is that true, or just for egress reasons?
Yeah, I don't think that was on the list. There was like a fan that we were gonna do.
On page 2 of the executive reports, the second to last paragraph before the planning for Café in 58 East Orchard property.
My understanding is that we were doing repairs for safety reasons.
Right, but what I'm saying is, unless you have a remodel or you're going to replace that window for some reason, you don't have to bring it up to code. The code, as it is now, it's grandfathered in.
But is it
So-
the right thing to have? I mean, that's the question.
That's my understanding too. So what I was suggesting, the next priorities were the carbon monoxide detectors, the GFI outlets in the bathroom and kitchen, the kitchen exhaust fans, make sure both of the bathroom exhaust fans are in, and then I mean, then we can talk, I guess. I don't know how much that stuff will cost.
So that's a future item.
Yes, we
just to
Yeah,
have
then
in
I,
mind.
all I did was go back to Larry's report, and the only other things on the list were egress improvement to upstairs. He wasn't saying we had to, it was just kind of on the list. Replacing the window out upstairs, I see what you're saying now, and regrade the driveway. But those seem like pretty low hanging fruit compared to everything else that we've accomplished.
So if you could just touch base with the building, one of the inspectors to see.
Sure.
See if we have to replace that. By code, I don't believe we have to, but just to double check this. I'd appreciate that.
Sure.
So the workshop Thursday, is that at 3:30?
It's at 3:30
It is at 3:30 in this room, is that correct?
in this room, yep.
Okay. And then our next meeting, we had kind of, do we have a specific date in mind?
So there was some discussion, because of having issues with attendance. This is one where our regular meeting falls on a holiday, so we have to kind of juggle it around. So we had set, at the beginning of the year, we had set our regular meeting as the third Tuesday, which is November 19th. But there was some suggestion to move it to Monday, November 18th. And the city this room is available. We just would have to be out of here before 5 because the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting starts at 5:30.
Does that work for you, Colin?
We're looking at 18 or 19.
It would be the 18th.
18th.
Monday.
Monday.
Yeah, that's fine for me.
Okay.
Fine
Works
for you.
How does that look for you then?
That looks good.
All right.
Yeah, we're good. Thank you.
Okay, so let's change that to November 18th then.
Okay.
At 3 o'clock, correct?
Yes.
Anything else? That's it? Can I have a call for adjournment?
I so move for adjournment.
All right.
Second needed?
No, I don't think so. I think we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
All right.
Meeting.
Oh.